All right, guys. We are here today. We got Chewy earnings. The reason we're starting a little bit early is because we do have Chewy earnings coming out like pretty early this morning. Nvidia's pumping up. You can see it. But yeah, we got Chewy earnings dropping. We've got Nvidia earnings later on today. It's actually a pretty busy day. Probably the biggest day of the week. Depending on later on today, it's actually pretty. Depending on how Nvidia earnings go and all that stuff. I know I'm starting a little bit early, but that's all right. Again, it's an earnings day, so I don't mind starting it a little bit early. What's up, TK, Freddy, Jeep, Russ, Gus, Lolo, Joshua, Roland? Yeah, honestly, it's a crazy day today, honestly. Chewy earnings should be dropping soon. I'm pretty sure Chewy earnings just released. That's what we're talking about now. So I'm pretty sure Chewy's. Kohl's just dropped. NBA 30-year mortgage rate showed up at 6.44%, actually lower than expected here. So lower than expected. Many believe that expectations are so high Nvidia will not live up to it, and that's possible. We're waiting for Chewy earnings. Foot Locker released. All right, so Chewy came out with their numbers here, guys. So Chewy showed net sales of $2.86 billion. They increased 2.6%. Gross margin of 29.5%. They increased 120 BP. Net income of $299.1 million, including share-based compensation expense and related taxes of $82.5 million. Basic earnings per diluted share were 70 cents, an increase of 65 cents year over year. Diluted EPS was 68 cents, an increase of 63 cents year over year. Adjusted EBITDA was $144.8 million, an increase of 56.7 million. Our quarter two performance reflects another quarter of strong execution, delivering net sales at the high end of our guidance range, said their CEO. I'll put this up on screen. But yeah, Chewy did 24%. Much better than the 2-cent expected number here for Chewy. So Chewy kind of killed it. I'm surprised they're down. They expected like 3 cents a share. They ended up showing 24 cents a share. Sales missed estimates, though, I guess. And so sales were a little bit lower. Yeah, so here's Chewy numbers. I was going to buy the dip, but it bounced back so quickly. I don't know now. Kohl's posted numbers. Again, we did have Foot Locker drop as well. I'm surprised Foot Locker's not losing more money than they are. But I think they own like Champs or something. Hey, what's up, Blaze? Yeah, Nvidia earnings are this evening. What's up, 803? Yeah, I'm not going to get political milk. You know, sorry, brother. All right, we're going to do a poll here. With the poll, does today's, with Nvidia earnings later on, does the stock market close green or red today? Green, red. All right. Vote on the poll. Let me know what you guys think. With Nvidia earnings later, does the stock market close green or red? I don't know. It's Nvidia day, honestly. It's honestly a huge day. Does Nvidia beat or miss? You can vote on the poll. Let me know how you feel. Let me know if you think the stock market closed green or red. 60% say red so far out of 20 plus votes. Really quickly, 40%, 45% say green. 50. So it's right now it's about it's pretty split down the middle. It's 48, 50. It's 48, 52. But yeah, vote on the poll. We already got 25 votes in about 10 seconds. Completely 50-50 split, though. You can see how polarized Nvidia earnings are. And let me know in chat right now, does Nvidia beat or miss earnings? Let me know. Jack says they miss. Anthony says they beat. Google, Microsoft, Apple heavily invested in AI last quarter. Nvidia will do great. I hope so. Green, then flash crash after hours. Hey, maybe we do. I don't know. I hope not, though. They'll 1,000% beat with that revision. I think they might do better than expected. The real question is, how do they react to it, right? Like, that's the bigger question here, is what does their reaction look like? Do they react positively or negatively to their earnings? That's the biggest thing to watch for, I think. All right, guys. So yeah, let me know if you guys think. I heard they work their employees 7 days a week. Well, they're now's their growth phase. Always good to lock in profits after a massive bull run. I think it's going to be green for 3 days, and people take their earnings. Or do you think it's going to happen in just one day? I mean, I'm not sure, Laura. It really depends. Either one of those things is possible. Like, either one of them could happen, right? Like, they could, we could have some massive swing in reaction from earnings, or we could have a delayed response. Either one's possible. I don't know if that thing is necessarily predictable. You know, it's big money can sometimes be unpredictable in terms of their time frame of how they react to it. Some of them try to keep it quiet. Some of them try to just get it out there. So it depends. Their guidance is the biggest factor. Yeah, for sure. I mean, how they think they're going to do future-wise. It all depends on how much they beat in guidance. Yeah. It's coming out after the closing bell today. After the close. Nvidia pumping up, though. It's at 129s right now. The SPY is technically green also here. So, yeah. Again, Chewy reported numbers. They're down a little bit. But it's not the weakest looking thing. All right, guys. So again, Chewy down. Nvidia very flat after pumping up. A very green day yesterday. Honestly, back and forth, up and down, pretty big. Expectations are so high that if they don't blow it out the water, the market will tank. Really? Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I think you got to look at it in terms of Nvidia has like a massive amount of supporters as well, right? And so in that regard, there's going to be a lot of people propping it up in that way also. Supermicro semiconductors also, you know, rebounded completely from the Hindenburg report. It's still down a little bit, but yeah. Yeah, and they recently updated that EPS, right? So they recently updated that EPS. So I'm trying to see what it was before. Yeah, so Nvidia recently updated their expectations and financial results. August 28th, Nvidia reported its second quarter. So they reported $28 billion for the quarter expectation. They had predicted earnings per share of 64 cents. Company's actual results are expected to meet or slightly exceed these. Nvidia has consistently beaten these estimates, driven by strong demand in AI. So initially, analysts set a lower expectation for Nvidia's earnings per share. I think they updated it 10%. They increased their estimates to around 64 cents a share. The original expectation was 57 to 60 cents a share, right? So they increased it. They bumped it up over 10%, really. Or actually, no, I'm sorry, not quite. Around 10%. How long does guidance take to show? Is that on a conference call about an hour after report? Usually they're going to report it. So the way you can always gauge whether it's guidance or not, right? Like the way you know it's guidance is it says Nvidia sees X, right? So like when the EPS is dropped, it'll say Nvidia adjusted EPS is blank on revenue of blank, beat or miss, right? When it says guidance, it'll say Nvidia sees is the keyword. Sees is the signal that it's guidance related because they're seeing into the future. They see quarter four results coming in at blank, you know, versus blank expectation, right? So that's guidance. So anytime if you want to, usually it'll drop before the conference call. But if you want to know whether it's guidance or not, it'll say C's in front of it. C's. S-E-E-S, that is. Yeah. All right. So, again, we don't really have any other major like earnings today or anything like that outside of those two. You know, we do have Chewy, Abercrombie and Fitch releases in about 12 minutes. Not a huge one. I'm curious to see Abercrombie and Fitch. Speaking of this, right? So here's A&F. A&F. Again, I've talked about this many times, right? Like many times I've mentioned this very specific thing, which is that, you know, when I grew up in the early 2000s, Abercrombie and Fitch was like it was the preppy store that all the girls liked, right? And so as a guy that grew up in the early 2000s, you know, I wore Abercrombie. I wore it because that's what the girls liked. You know, the girls liked Abercrombie and Fitch. They liked preppy guys. You know, I didn't care what they liked, or I didn't care what I wore. You know, when you're young, you try to pick up, you know. But with that said, I wore a lot of Abercrombie. You know, you walk in there, it's like a freaking rave. You got techno music playing, the strong smell of cologne, you know. Somewhere there's a guy with no shirt on, you know what I mean? Like, that's what Abercrombie was like in the early 2000s. So very, like, it's hard to explain. But over time, fashions change, brands change, industries change. And so one of the things that we saw change is that people stopped using Abercrombie and Fitch as much as they did. People stopped buying from it. It's one of the reasons I don't like buying Lululemon stock, because fashions and brands change. And you saw it with American Eagle, you saw it with Abercrombie and Fitch. But Abercrombie and Fitch has had this crazy, weird pump recently. And again, I'm not really sure what this is about. It's got to be some type of manipulation, because when you look at the company's revenue hasn't increased in a decade, right? The company's revenue hasn't increased in a decade, and that's bad, right? Like, you might say, oh, well, they're making the same amount of money they were back then. Sure, but imagine how much inflation has happened over the last decade. It's gone up so much, right? Like, so even if they're making the same amount that they were in 2010, then they're losing money, or they're slowing down in growth as well, right? So I'm just kind of confused. Like, you can kind of see their quarterly revenue here, and again, it does not look, it doesn't look good. It looks like it's slowing down some over 14 years. It hasn't increased. And again, I ask people what's going on. If you go inside their stores in the mall, nobody's ever there. It's freaking empty. It's like a ghost town in Abercrombie and Fitch stores. So I don't know, like, I see some of these businesses at the mall, and I genuinely don't understand how they're successful, right? Like, I see at our mall, we have like a perfume store. It's like a cologne and perfume store, specifically like perfume and cologne, right? And there's nobody ever in there. I don't know how they, like, how they're succeeding as a business. Like, the rent in the mall has got to be super expensive. So same thing with Abercrombie. Like, how is Abercrombie justifying rent? Because nobody's ever there. And now they've kind of completely changed their business model to where now it's more like hipster. Like, I don't even know what to describe it as. I wouldn't wear any of the clothes I go into Abercrombie. I went in there curious the last time I was at the mall, which is a while ago, to be fair. And I'm not wearing any of those clothes. Like, they've got like mesh fishnet, like, male shirts. And listen, I'm not judging. Wear what you want to wear. I'm not. I truly believe, like, people are different. Wear what you want to wear. Wear what makes you happy. But wearing Abercrombie and Fitch is not going to make me happy. And so, point is, why the heck is Abercrombie and Fitch stock up hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of %? I know some people are talking about it's a short squeeze. I just don't know what's going on here. Somebody explain this to me if you have more knowledge on it. I wore a little bit of echo sometimes. Chewy had earnings that missed revenue for Chewy. And so they dumped really quick, and then they rebounded really quick. They're kind of flat. Their earnings were kind of flat. They beat EPS by a pretty big margin, actually, but their revenue was slow. Correcting wisdom transferred to prediction prior to precious first-hand info. What? No offense, Rex T. I'm not really sure what you just said, brother. But I appreciate the comment. Probably Wall Street Bets pumping them. Yeah, that's what I assumed, is that it was some type of like short squeeze from people involved. Let me see if I can find the short float. So it says the short interest is 7.5%. Ratio is 2.87. Short interest is 3.7 mil shares. Off exchange short volume ratio 53%. The shorts, it doesn't look like it's like super, like, it's not, there's a lot of shorts, but it's not like crazy squeeze level shorts. It's not enough to justify pumps of Abercrombie and Fitch hundreds and hundreds of %. Like, this thing is up, let me calculate this. This thing is up from $14 a share. We'll call it 20 at the lows this year. 20 at the lows. So an increase of from 20 to 196 at its peak is an increase of 880%, almost 1,000%. Like, what is going on? Like, it makes no sense. Nobody's ever there. Maybe now listen, to be fair, maybe like in places like California and New York, people are buying Abercrombie and Fitch. I just can't get behind it, you know. I remember wearing them when they had the little moose emblem, you know. I don't know what they do now. I don't know, you know. I can't imagine how this is a profitable business at this point. Joined channel quite a while. This field required wisdom, not knowledge. Only left a message, but thousands of thanks to you for all gaining. Hey, thanks, Rex T. I appreciate it, brother. You know, I don't know if English is your first language, brother, but it's all good, dude. I appreciate the support, bro. I can tell you're supportive, and so I genuinely appreciate it, bro. Thank you, sir. Hey, what's up, Mitch? Money Mitch, my guy. What's up, dude? BSLK. Maybe Mitch knows some more. Hey, bro. Do you know anything about why Abercrombie's up 900% this year? It makes no sense. You know? Like I said, you go into Abercrombie when you're freaking... When I was like 16, 17, I'd go into Abercrombie and it would just be... You know? Like freaking... techno rave music, cologne everywhere, you know. But again, you go in there now and they've got like fishnet shirts for males. Like nobody's ever gonna buy that here. Why? Like, how are they justifying rent? They're paying $10,000 plus in rent with nobody ever going there. I just don't know how they're succeeding as a business. The only thing it could be is a short squeeze. But they have earnings in 5 minutes, so we'll see what their earnings do. I can't imagine this holds. But listen. It's ripped up in a lot of people's faces. Yeah, definitely not as a brick and mortar, 100%. Zoomies, skateboard store. You know, I skateboarded, but by the time I quit, I had never heard of Zoomies. So Zoomies came out after I quit. Although I have bought some stuff from there. Zoomies has been ripping up too. Yeah, Zoomies drops earnings in a week. Almost exactly a week. Hey, thank you, Joseph. Awesome show, buddy. Hope you stay around a long time. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's too political for me, William. I really am very neutral politically, bro. Like, I dislike the whole realm of politics and just kind of avoid it altogether. It just gets too stressful, you know. Like, if I told people the truth about how I felt about politics, both sides would probably dislike me, realistically. Like, I go by policy alone, and so with that, I just kind of avoid the whole realm of it and try to not let it wrap up too much of my life. And with that said, I'm not about to talk politics here, you know. Just not worth it. I will say, I think Elon needs to be smart and do the same thing, because if you're selling things to consumers, you know, public's pretty 50-50 split on things, really. And so if you're trying to sell cars to people and you come out really one-sided politically, it's dumb. And that's bad for his business, you know. And maybe he gains some support from the other sides. I don't know. But I just think that's a bad move. And so one of the reasons I'm skeptical for Tesla, and I like Tesla. I think Tesla algorithms are great. I think the cars are cool. I think if they stay on front of FSD, they're going to be powerful in the future if they can not be super outspoken politically and like bother a bunch of people with it. John for president, yeah. What do you think about Chewy today after its earnings? I think Chewy had no one goes there, right? For sure. Like, my question is, how are they profitable as a business? You know, they got a big, like, they got one at my mall here. And again, here's a little test. Go into Abercrombie the next time you're there. Tell me if you would wear any of their clothes. I don't know who wears that stuff. Like, I'm not judging you. The only thing I can think about is California, because it's like really out there clothes that I would never wear. You know, I'm pretty plain with my style. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I should spice it up a little bit. Yeah, John for Prez. Listen, no. Get the Nixon out here. Yeah, I mean, Rex T, I still don't know what you're saying, brother. He said, yours firsthand talk awaiting for and TW becomes already happened old news. Bro, what are you saying, Rex? I appreciate the support. I think it's supportive. And so thank you so much, I think. But yeah. Yeah, both sides would probably dislike me hidden. Realistically, that's probably true. Because I go by policy. And really, I'm pretty neutral ground. Like, I side with both sides in different areas. I'm a capitalist. You know, I'm big business. Like, I'm not big business. I think billionaires should be taxed. But that's a different story. And I think college should be free. That's another story. But I'm also a capitalist. And I think capitalism creates, you know... I think people are corrupt regardless of whether it's a capitalistic society or like a socialist society. At least with capitalism, they've got to earn the power that they ultimately get, and they're going to get power either way. And with socialism, they're just kind of blindly given it. And so, you know, sometimes they don't respect it enough, and that turns to more corruption. But you're going to have corruption either way. At least with capitalism, you got to make them work for it. But either way, there's still flaws in both, realistically. And again, I'll probably delving too much into it now. You guys got me talking about it now. I'm just going to pivot to something else. Anyways, Abercrombie and Fitch just released their earnings. And they are down on it. They're at 161s. Let's see what they showed up as. So Abercrombie, they are down a little bit from their report. EPS of 250, they expected 214, so they beat EPS, it looks like. Sales of 1.1 billion, they posted, they expected 1.09 bill, so they did better than expected EPS and revenue. Here's their numbers right here. Who would pay for colleges is free? Our tax money. Our tax money gets wasted in a lot of ways. You might as well let people go to school. If they want to go to school and they're, you know, like, I'm okay with that. I think big money has taken over college and it's gotten way too expensive. And the standard the rest of the world is most of the time college is free. And I think if I'm okay with my tax money getting spent on education, and I think that would help a lot of people versus some of the other stuff our tax money gets spent on. But again, like I said, I've said it like 5 times and it's my fault for keep talking about it. I'm going to respectfully decline to talk about any more politics stuff with you guys. What time is Nvidia earnings? Nvidia earnings are at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or after 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Schools are over. Yeah, I mean, look, I've kind of opened the door to it. Our tax money is going to get spent on things that you don't want it to. That's inevitable. It's going to happen regardless of whether this specific thing is free or not. Tax money is going to get spent on stuff you don't want it to. That's the nature of life in the U.S. and any, you know, taxed society. You know, it's an inevitable thing. You know. Hey, thank you so much, Lolo. I appreciate the donation. Thanks so much. Thoughts on snow? I think snow is interesting. You know, I think snow might be a little undervalued where it's at now, but I don't know for sure. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable. If you lose, you always got to make your own assessment, trade responsibly. I have no idea what SNOW is going to do. It seems a little undervalued to me, and it's down big on the years at 405. You know, I was watching Martin, whatever his name was, Pharma Bro guy. And apparently he likes stocks, and I don't agree with a lot of stuff he does or says. But one of the things I did agree with is he said, like, I was watching this video that he had, and he said that every stock, whether it's a good or bad stock, can have a good area to buy it or a bad area to buy it, right? So he said some stocks are undervalued. Some good stocks are undervalued, and you can buy those. And he said some bad stocks are still undervalued. There's still value buying them cheap. So if you can find bad stocks for cheap, you can still get some good buying opportunities, even if they're bad stocks. And even just because the stock is good does not always mean it's time to buy it, right? Like you're going to have good stocks that are expensive that you shouldn't buy, and you're going to have bad stocks that are cheap that you should buy, right? And your job as an investor / trader is to figure out which categories those fall in. And with regards to Snow, I think Snow is a good company that might be a little bit undervalued. But again, it's such a new company that it's tough to tell, right? And I have no idea what it's going to do. I hope it goes up, but who freaking knows? Hey, what's up, Tommy? You could always talk Canadian politics. I'm not okay with my tax dollars paying for people's college, right? But I mean, again, you're not going to be like. Are you genuinely saying that you agree with everything your tax dollars are spent on right now? Of course not. Like that's that's part of it. Everybody's not going to agree. It's impossible for everybody to agree. And if everybody had to agree on things, nothing would ever happen. The other thing is that everybody's not going to go, even if it's free, everybo's not going to go, so at this point in time, charging so much for it, the only thing it causes is like the super wealthy families are able to go and everybody else is kind of stuck unless they've got to, do a lot of hard work and a lot of really difficult stuff to pay for it. It's just, I think it's objectively looking at college, it's so expensive unnecessarily right now. It's just too expensive. Yeah. What's your view on Tesla stock? Seems like it's going to tank soon. Tesla stock short term, incredibly volatile and risky, I think, right? Like I like Tesla. I like Tesla cars. I've never actually owned one. But I think they're cool cars, and I think EV and things like it are the future. The only real problem though is that Tesla short term is really, really volatile. Really, really volatile. The other problem is that Elon sometimes overpromises and underdelivers. So he'll tell you, like the Cybertruck he said was going to come out every year for years before it actually came out. And so he seems to really overpromise in terms of deadlines. Like he'll be like, yeah, like an example of this is the Robotaxi event was supposed to be, it was either supposed to be this month or in September. They pushed it back to October. So again, Elon tends to overpromise and underdeliver, and I think that causes volatility in the short term for Tesla. But I think long term, if they can stay, I think FSD is the future. I truly believe in 20 years, everybody's going to be driving cars. Nobody's going to have to drive cars if they don't want to. The infrastructure is going to be built, and we're going to have full self-driving cars within 20 years. And I think once people start to see that aspect of it on the road, they're going to want it, and it's going to cause like a domino snowball-like effect, and everybody's going to be getting driven around. If the Robotaxi thing is accomplished successfully, I think that's going to cause massive spikes in those industries and like exponential growth in those industries. The real problem is how long does it objectively take? And that's a long time probably. Like the infrastructure has to be built. When the automobile replaced the carriage, it took time, and there was this weird period where both carriages and automobiles were on the road at the same time, and that was a lot of infrastructure problems. There's speed bumps in terms of infrastructure, and that's inevitable too. But I think within 20 years is probably what it'll take, give or take, whatever. I think eventually we're going to have full self-driving cars, and I think if Tesla is on the front of that, they're going to do really, really well. I think the biggest competition for Tesla is legacy automotive. I think if some of these big money brands get involved, and they accomplish FSD as well, that's gonna, like right now what Tesla has going for it in terms of cool points is FSD, full self-driving algorithms, like technology meshing well with your car. But I think if big legacy automotive starts to do it as well, people are going to have less of a need to buy Tesla, and I think if Elon continues to be political, it's risky. Yeah, For sure, money Mitch, 100%. I think there's definitely infrastructure problems, and I think it's got to get better. And so that's why I said I give it 20 years. I think 20 years is what it's going to take to really get it done. But again, with that said, I could just be super wrong, and it could be done within a year or two. I don't think it's going to happen like that, but it's possible. How would a car replace a horse? Right. Like, again, anytime you have, like, you got to understand, big oil runs the world, right? So you better believe they do not like EVs, regardless of what they say. And they're going to feel threatened by it. And that's understandable, I think. The carriage creators and producers of carriages, I bet you they didn't like automobiles, no matter what they said. But I think a more plausible outlook for it is going to be big oil ends up accumulating EV businesses and gets involved in it in that way, But again, I still think we're going to have at least some form of ICEs, internal combustion engines, into the future. I just think that it's too ingrained into what we have right now for it to really change. And that's why I think it's going to be a while before EVs really get adopted like that. I think another potential future is hybrids. I think hybrid cars are the future. I think people are already talking now about how hybrids are simply more efficient than pure EVs. So I think hybrid vehicles, and again, I think if Elon and Tesla doesn't jump on that, that's going to maybe put a window out there for legacy automotive to jump on it and really start to compete. But it's really tough to judge right now. You just got to keep watching for technology updates and advancements. But Tesla, again, really volatile short term. I think it's still down on the year in terms of their stock, down pretty big, or not down big, but it's still down a little bit. We put a monthly chart up. They've been flat for 4 years now, really. But I do see more and more Teslas coming out over time. I see more and more Cybertrucks coming out in my area over time too. Yeah, lithium plays for investments. I think lithium is obviously becoming like really huge. Every piece of every battery operated thing that needs any type of battery larger than like a AA is usually now using lithium. Like you see it with drones, and drones have gotten this big thing over the last decade. They use lithium. Teslas use lithium. I think lithium is becoming the thing, but it's a finite resource as well. So yeah, I learned to drive on a 5-speed. It was fun. All right, guys. So Nvidia, the big story of the day is easily Nvidia. Definitely the big story of the day. Like we got the SPY up there at 561s, and the SPY is still pretty close to lifetime highs. It's not quite up there, but lifetime highs on the SPY are right here at 565.40 or whatever it is. So the SPY, I tend to think we're going to be choppy today. We don't have any big economic data, and Nvidia earnings have the potential to completely massively influence markets. And so I think we're going to get choppiness today. Although I thought we'd get choppiness yesterday and the day before, and we had big runs and big swings downward too. So big upward and downward range movement. But I think today is probably a day in which we're going to be flat. And so I'm going to attack choppy behavior today. I'm going to short tops, buy bottoms. I'm going to try to at least. And if that fails, then we'll figure it out. But that's the plan. Priced in. Yeah, no, I mean, I tend to agree. Oil oil has provided you with just about everything you currently enjoy. Maybe relax. I mean, I don't think anybody's upset or mad. You know what I mean? Like, I think the way you have to look at it is like, people get so wrapped up in the big oil argument. You know, like big oil runs the world for sure, right? And people that work in oil or you know, like they're acting like their jobs are going to disappear tomorrow if EV becomes a thing. But I think when you look at the future objectively, eventually technology is going to advance past that, you know, in terms of efficiency. I think when you look at EVs, they're more efficient, better mileage, they're faster, they're quiet, less emissions. Sure, it's more environmentally taxing to mine, and so I think environmentally it's kind of like break even there, really. But I don't think you should get emotional about it. I think that in the end, you got to just look at it objectively, as objectively as you can. And I think there's certainly the component of big oil runs the world. They don't want to see oil go away. You know, they don't want to see. They certainly don't like EVs, and I'm sure they're putting out a bunch of negative stuff about it too, and that's understandable. I think like that's what big business does. But yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we're always going to need lubricants specifically, right? So lubricants are always necessary. You're always going to need lubricants. You're going to need oil in that regard, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be petroleum always, because you're always going to need oil to lubricate things, regardless of whether it's an internal combustion engine or not, you know. So there always going to be a need for oil and gas, but that might increase or decrease as time goes on. Would you recommend going long from today for earnings or avoid? I don't know, right? I'm definitely not buying up a bunch of stuff right now. Just not my style of trading. I'm just not really one to buy up big things ahead of earnings. Maybe I'll react to the earnings report if we get like a big polarized reaction, but I'm not going to buy up anything in blue chips that's going to be influenced by Nvidia, because there's too big of a chance. Like if I buy up, let's say Apple or AMD today, there's too big of a chance that if Nvidia does have a negative reaction, and nobody knows, not the most predictable thing, anything could freaking happen today. We could have really huge runs up or really big downfalls on stocks from Nvidia. So if Nvidia goes up big, it might help those positions, but if Nvidia drops big, it's going to certainly negatively influence those positions. And so I just can't justify buying up a lot of stuff today specifically. And again, I think we'll probably get choppy behavior leading into this report this afternoon. So tomorrow is GDP data, Sammy. So again, tomorrow's GDP data, Friday's PCE, personal consumption expenditure, inflation data. So today's Nvidia, tomorrow's GDP, and the GDP data is interesting because it's what's called first revision GDP data. So the first one is called the initial estimate. It's the least accurate GDP data, and it showed 2.8%. It kind of eased a lot of recession fears because of a lot of people were expecting GDP to be a lot weaker and have some more recession signs. But instead, GDP showed 2.8% for the initial estimate, which is good. And the market, I think, went up from it. The problem is that the initial estimate is the least accurate report. It's the least accurate report. And so what we have dropping tomorrow specifically is called first revision GDP. So it's the update on the least accurate one, right? So they're going to update it, and that update might come in better than expected or worse than expected. And if it shows worse than expected, meaning lower, the market's probably going to correct some too from that. Now, we don't know how much, but that's something to pay attention to tomorrow at 8:30 because that has the ability to influence the economy and markets. EVs are not more efficient. I mean, it's all opinion based, right? But everything that you just said, CWC, you said about waiting to charge your car at stations. Parts are expensive. Tire changes. Like, those are not the main arguments for efficiency in an automobile, brother. Like, whether they have a spare tire is not an argument for efficiency, and neither is waiting in line at a charging station, right? Like, everything I said in terms of efficiency had nothing to do with convenience there, right? Like, you're talking about convenience. Everything you just said is convenience arguments. I'm not talking about convenience. I'm talking about actual automobile efficiency, right? I'm talking about mileage, right? I'm talking about power. I'm talking about when you look at automobiles into the future, the big arguments for or against something, not whether they got a spare tire in their trunk, but more so, how fast is it? How loud is it? What are the emissions that it produces? How much mileage does it get? You know, how far can you drive it? Those are efficiency arguments. Again, not whether you got a spare tire in the trunk or, eventually, like every time you get a new technology, right, you're going to have speed bumps, right? So it's going to take time. They're going to have to build the infrastructure around it. You're not going to have a perfect infrastructure around it when you first get started in any type of new industry like this. So point is, you're not going to have charging stations all across the world. And most people that have EVs live in homes and they have the chargers at their house. So they simply charge it overnight and leave. And that's a pretty efficient thing too. But yeah, charging station wise, they're going to have to build that infrastructure, which is why I think it's going to take 20 years. And again, I'm not really against it. Like, I used to race tuner cars. Like, I love internal combustion engines and racing and cars. I really do. I genuinely do. The problem is, like, I think people are so, like, I think the news gets people upset in a lot of different ways, right? Like, I think the news will kind of get people with their pitchforks out saying, and I think a lot of people are arguing for big oil, big money, right? Like, they're arguing big money arguments and they don't even realize it. You know, they're parroting what they want them to say, which is big oil sees EV as a threat and they don't like it. And so they kind of put out all this stuff about it, like, oh, you should be mad at EVs and big oil. You know, big oil is for the working man, is what they'll try to tell you. And again, I don't think that's true either. I think we have to just look at efficiency over time. And you know, right now EVs are pretty efficient, I think. At least most of them. It just depends on which ones, though. Everything depends on the selection you're looking at. Right, for sure. Hidden, I agree. All right, guys. So, Abercrombie and Fitch still doing okay here. Let me see. But they're down pretty big percentages. Look at Abercrombie and Fitch. We spoke about this morning. They're dropping pretty big. All right. Yeah, I think hybrids are really cool too. And I think hybrids are, again, I think that's where Elon could get in trouble if he doesn't like start at least trying to do some type of hybrid. All right, so here's Abercrombie and Fitch's numbers. They posted 250 EPS versus 222 expected. Revenue of 1.13 billion. They expected 1.1 billion. Net sales for fiscal year 25 guidance showed a gain of 12 to 13%. Previous about 10%. So their earnings were good for Abercrombie and Fitch, but again, like the real problem is simply it should never be this high to begin with. So it's just up way too much, I think. Way too much. Yeah, Chewy had earnings too. Yeah, Chewy had earnings too. They're at $27 roughly right now, a little bit underneath. They're gapping down some on their earnings, although they beat EPS, missed revenue though, so they had mixed results, I think. Nvidia's starting to pull down though, testing this previous closing price at 128.30s. Nvidia earnings are after the closing bell today at 4 p.m. Yeah, this is a massive day. Guys, massive day. All right, guys. So SPY is actually now technically red on the day. If you look at the SPY, it's slightly red. Again, I tend to think we're going to get choppiness, but I've thought that every day because we just have so many reports this week. But I think especially today. I think today's the day in which we have the highest chance of sideways action. So, you know, and again, if we look at Nvidia earnings graph, right? Like, here's Nvidia earnings graph. So this is Nvidia's revenue graph, and it's had massive increases too. So today they are expecting 28 billion. So they're expecting to increase again. All right, so they're expecting this to be right around here. You know, and so we'll see if it shows that. If it comes in as expected, that's pretty good. You know, they're expecting again 28.24 billion, so just over 28 billion in revenue for the quarter. Oil's down a lot this morning too. You know, oil tends to move with geopolitical stuff, so if we had conflicts overseas and stuff, oil will go up a lot of the time because oil's going to be more scarce in that regard and more expensive. But when sometimes those things are qualmed, oil can fall. And so I'm not sure why oil is down. Does anybody know? Abercrombie says, quote, although we continue to operate in an increasingly uncertain environment, we remain steadfast in executing our global playbook and maintaining discipline. Yeah, I think that's a bad report. They didn't say, hey, we're doing great, we're thriving. They said, oh, you know, they tried to blame it on other stuff. And they didn't say basically anything good. And so the real question is, why is Nvidia up this much? Or why is Abercrombie and Fitch up so much? Yeah, maybe tie. Conflicts, chances, cools, maybe. I'm definitely not shorting Nvidia today. I think that's really risky. But yeah, so there's Nvidia's earnings. Let's see their EPS graph. So EPS is margins. So right, so Nvidia EPS is going to go up too. So now they're expecting 69 cents. So they've been increasing by about 10 cents per quarter, per EPS that is. So again, you can kind of see 25 cents, 37 cents, 49 cents, 60 cents. So yeah, they've been actually increasing about 11 to 12 cents per EPS per quarter. So we'll see if they do that again here. They need LFO. Yeah, everybody knows that song. Honestly, young people are different though nowadays, dude. I realize that. Like, young people are different, bro. Yeah, Middle East selling things down. Yeah. Yeah. Instead of for a hybrid. Yeah. Alright, guys. So, we got Abercrombie and Fitch earnings later on this afternoon. It should be craziness, to be honest here. I'm ready. We got oil. Anything else moving? Again, I'm going to go with choppy behavior. So, if we got a pretty big downward pressure move. I might start day trading this. So we are on Top Step X right now. Trying to take a longer term trade here. No, I don't know anything about them. HCP, no idea. Nvidia earnings are at 4 p.m. I'm going to put this up on screen. Alright. Alright, so we're slightly green. I'm also going to throw this in sub-only mode here, chat. So if you haven't already, help me hit 145k subs. We're very close. We'll hit it today without question. We'll hit 145. I'm hoping we get close to 150k today. And generally speaking, earnings streams for us are pretty big in that way. All right, so we're flat here, completely flat. All right, completely flat. All right, guys. We're back to green here. I don't want to add any more to this. It's taking too long. We're up about $900 in this one. We're trying to take it slow. I want to see if it'll go up. Like, I don't mind buying after all these big dips. I think we're going to have rangy action. Yeah, hit that sub button, guys. Do it now. I'm trying to get a little bit more into the green, but this is taking too long. Hey, man. Sorry, guys. I was talking to my family here. Yeah, did you see it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I love you, buddy.
I just moved a bunch
The
of
vent.
stuff.
I would call somebody out
It's
and
not
make
a
sure.
vent.
Okay, you
It's
sure?
Not, yeah, it's not wet.
Okay. All right, I love you. All right, guys. Have a good day, guys. All right, I love y'all. All right, so we're buying up stuff. Sorry, I was talking to my family and I didn't really have time to pay attention. And I looked the other way and I was down, you know. So, but again, I'm gonna try to establish a longer term position here. We're already up $900 in cushion on this one, or less than that. We're up $700 now. Thank you, Tommy. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. But yeah, sorry. I was talking to my family and I didn't have time to actually watch the trade. And so as soon as I saw I was down $100, I didn't know how long my fam was going to take. And so I just ended up cutting it and re-entering it back now since I could actually pay attention to it. A lot of it's going to depend on Nvidia though. Like Nvidia is influencing the whole thing on the NASDAQ. Nvidia is bouncing right at that previous closing price. And so Nvidia is chopping back and forth around that previous close. So we got two contracts here. If Nvidia continues to bounce up on this left side, it'll probably drag this back up with it. And so that's what I'm hoping for. We're also at the bottom of the range on a day that's probably going to be choppy. And so I don't mind buying at the bottom of the range here. I'll take half off to lock in some profit there. And that way we'll kind of be a little bit more protected over the rest and try to manage it good. Hey, thanks, Tommy. Appreciate it. Yeah, in a split second. Hey, thank you, Cooler. Yeah, this is Top Step X, too, so they're pretty cool. You know, I might add back to this, too. We've got a little bit of cushion here, and so we can try to play with it, but let me wait. Yeah, I love engulfing candles, Mitch. Engulfing candles are like my favorite short-term influence on in terms of like short-term signals. Engulfing candles are it, you know. All right, there we go. I'm gonna add to this now. All right, there goes Nvidia pumping up. All right, we took half off. We're down a little bit, but it's just because we took that contract off and so the fill was there. So we can get a little bit more here. There we go. This is taking a little bit of time here, and so I'm going to be prepared to cut this right here. I'm going to get out. I don't like that turn. And yeah, look at the red candle. So we ended up making most of our money back here. We're kind of sitting tight. If we get another pullback, I'll add right back to it too. Yep, there's the dip. I'm going to buy this down here. I didn't really get a good fill, but I'm going to buy this dip. Average in here, see if we pop right back up. Nvidia's trying to get up there, right? So you can kind of see Nvidia trying to get up there and just getting rejected. So we'll scalp around here and see if we get anything good. Hey, I don't know how much that is. Hey, I appreciate the... I gotta look up how much that is. Hey, thank you for the $1. I think after all these years, I should get my mod status. I mean, listen, bro. I'm just never about to give... we're going to have to cut that, and we'll come back to Top Step X. We'll come back to day trading futures. It's nothing against you. I'm just never about to give anybody that much power over it. Like, Pawn's the main mod we had. Like, there was a time where I had, like, 5... or people would ask me to become mods, right? They'd be like, hey, can I please be a mod? And they would ask me for it. And then, like, like people would ask me to be mods, right? It's not like I even needed them to be mods. For a time we had like 4 or 5 mods. But over time, like they started expecting too much from me, you know? So it's like, it's not like I approached them and was like, hey, I'll pay you X amount if you mod for me. A lot of them be like, hey, I want to mod for you. I just want to support you. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then some of them would start like asking for money, you know what I mean? And they'd be like, oh, I've done so much for you. You got to give me money. And it's like, well, you know, I don't need you to be a mod. And so it just causes this weird dynamic where I feel bad not paying them, but we're just a small YouTube channel. Like, we're not going to be able to pay 5 mods to do nothing, basically. Like, it's just not a reasonable expectation, I think. You know what I mean? So we just try to keep just Pawn as the mod. Nothing against you. You know, nothing against you. But I hope that makes sense. All right, Nvidia SPY dumping down a little bit. We got a little bit of a retracement here. No, I'm sorry. Sorry, Tommy. I'm good, brother. No offense, man. Nothing against you. I just don't need another mod. Like, you know, again, we're a small YouTube channel. Like, I'm watching the chat almost always because, like, my big thing is engaging with the chat. So, I'm responding to the chat, right? And so it's very easy for me to just click ban, you know, without really even like needing, you know, somebody to do it for me. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I can respect that, Sam. All right, so Nvidia all the way back up again. Yeah, definitely don't sue me. Top 3 suable, least suable traders in the world right now. Yeah, being a mod's tough, dude. Like, you get people weird. People are weird on the internet. Like, they really are, you know. And so, people are just weird on the internet, man. Like, Pawn has kind of seen it, you know. Chewy is up. Is it up? Is it really? Yeah, Chewy missed revenue. Like, typically revenue is more influential for earnings, right? So if a company misses revenue, usually that's like a more powerful thing than EPS being good. And so what you saw with Chewy originally was that Chewy went down some because I guess it missed revenue, but it still bounced back all the way. Chewy's got a huge support system. You know, Ryan Cohen, the founder, just makes like all the meme traders like Chewy. You know, and Chewy did something as a company that not a lot of other businesses could, which is that they fought the giant of Amazon and won. They beat Amazon at mail order retail, which is something that not a lot of businesses can do, not a lot of companies can do. And so Ryan Cohen did it successfully, and since then it's had this big cult following. You know, this big cult following. I don't know what that noise is. That's my dog Bruce. They beat Amazon from like in their specific category. Right. So in terms of pet products, a lot of people. So basically, you got to understand the story of Chewy. So Chewy started their company in the midst of a lot of other companies going out of business from Amazon, right? Like, Amazon destroyed a lot of brick and mortar retail because they made it so efficient. They made it so easy to buy stuff. Chewy started up in the midst of all that and eventually became to be the leader in pet products and pet stuff, despite Amazon being there. So when I say beat, I'm not talking about like they're a bigger business than Amazon. Like, I'm just saying they stuck around and they targeted their niche of pet products well, and they accomplished it successfully, you know. So good for them. Yeah, dude, I've got 2 dogs right now, Mitch. Check them out, bro. I'll show you them. Rosie and Bruce. The gang, dude. Hold on, look. Here's Bruce. Right, here's Bruce. This is him at like 7 months, right? So he's bigger than this now. He grew. But that's Bruce the shepherd. He's a sweet dog, right? But he's big, and he kind of looks like a wolf, and so a lot of people that come to my house are scared of him, which I guess is good, right? But that's Bruce, and then Rosie. And then there's Rosie. She's actually my favorite. Like, she's like the sweetest, most expressive dog ever. My dog's telling you that Chewy's a great company and they need treats? Right, yeah. You say, buy treats. But yeah, that's Rosie. Rosie's really my favorite. I mean, JP Morgan, Citigroup, Bank of America not allowing debt payments. What's that, Mike? What's BNPL? All right, so we made a little bit back here. You can see we're up 650 on this back end. We did buy the dip. It's kind of chopping back and forth. We're watching Nvidia closely, though. Yeah. Yeah, Rosie's just a cool dog, man. And they both love swimming, too, right? So they both love swimming. Like, check them out. Let me find it. All right, so NASDAQ did run up some, man. So the NASDAQ did run up some. Like, check it out. Look. Ready, Bruce? Go get it. Yeah, like, they love swimming. To a fault, almost. To a fault. Like, they just want to swim everywhere they go. Like, if there's a pool, they're jumping in it. You know, randomly.
Ready? Drop it. Drop it.
All right, there we go. Hey, thanks, Mitch. Appreciate it, brother. Have a good day, dude. Appreciate you stopping by, man. Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Dogs are beautiful. Buy now, pay later. Oh, so Affirm and stuff like that. Oh, that's what you were talking about. Yeah, so... So I saw somebody mention something about buy now, pay later. Okay, yeah, JP Morgan, Citigroup, Bank of America not allowing buy now, pay later debt payments. What do you mean not allowing it though, Mike, I guess? I appreciate the donation, brother, thank you. But what do you mean about not allowing it? So I'm confused about the jargon there. Or not the jargon, but the language there. You know, because every time you use Amazon, you'll see, like, Affirm ads, like, hey, do you want to pay for this later? I never do it because I'm not going to finance a freaking t-shirt, but yeah. Yeah, y'all go check out my guy, Money Mitch. I forgot to post this over there at Trade the Pool. Y'all go check his streams out. You know, here's Trade the Pool. Y'all go give that man a subscribe. And I forgot to do this while he was here. Check him out. What if it's 0% interest? I mean, what's the point? I'm going to pay later, I'm going to pay now. What's the point? I might as well just get it done with, not have any earlier bills. All right, so again, here's the Q. Abercrombie and Fitch still pretty sideways. Q still red on the day. Chewy still down. Not allowed to use credit. Okay, so it's only credit cards. Well, yeah, because you're paying debt. You can't pay a debt with credit cards anyways. I mean, you can, but it's frowned upon. So, I mean, you know. Gold. Gold is at 2,500. Again, if you haven't already, check out TopStep. TopStep funded account program and futures. They give you a demo, test your skill with the demo. If you pass the test with the demo, they fund you with a regular account. And again, I'm here to say almost all day traders lose money. Doesn't matter what course you take, who you follow, you're probably going to lose your first couple day trading accounts. So if you fund $5,000 into your first couple day trading accounts, I'm sorry to break it to you, you're probably about to lose that $5,000. You're not going to be some like prodigy savant day trader. I don't care what the guy selling you a day trading course tells you to get you to buy that course. That's the reality behind it, right? Some day traders are going to win. Most day traders are going to lose. And so should you fund $5,000 into your own account? Probably not. I think it's much cheaper to try a funded account program like TopStep. Again, in this situation, they give you a demo and they test your skill with that first. It's only $49 a month. If you pass it, you get a $50,000 funded account with a 90% split. If you fail it, you only lose $49. It's not the end of the world. It's a much cheaper way to get started. You still have some pressure too. You're still learning how to trade under pressure. It's very similar to funding your own money in terms of split. Once you're funded, you get a 90% split. Similar there. But if you lose, you're out $49 instead of $5,000 like you would if you put the money up yourself. It just doesn't make sense. And in the futures market, you can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, basically the SPY and Q price action, gold, some currencies. Liquidity's better in futures, and most pro day traders trade futures anyway. And TopStep X has no commissions. They have some fees, but there's no commissions. It's just a great way to learn how to day trade. And they've paid out over $40 million to their traders. They funded 50,000, or they had almost 50,000 funded accounts in July. And so they've been around for 12 years. It's just a good option. Although, again, they're a sponsor of mine. They pay me money. I'm biased. But if you want to check it out, there's the link. Again, they sponsor me. They pay me money. I'm biased because of it. If they paid you money, you'd be biased too. Remember, I'm terrible. Might be. And might be great. Have no idea what I'm talking about. Might have something idea, but might not. And remember, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Do not copy me. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. You're liable for your own losses. And I might trade off stream. You're not going to see all my trades. Understand CFDC 4.41 hypothetical or simulated performance. Have limitations, guys. Top 3 plugs in the world right now. Top 3 sellouts in the world right now. And I appreciate the love. Thanks so much, guys. How long it takes depends on you, Bright. If you got to make the base one, you got to make $3,000 without losing $2,000 to get $50,000 in funding, and following their rules and conditions. How much do you make? I mean, it varies. I don't like to talk about it. People get too weird and jealous and insecure about it, so I'd rather just not talk about it. I make money. They pay me money, of course, you know. But I'm honest about it. I always tell people the truth, and you know. I would rather give everything away for free, not sell a course, not act like I'm some millionaire savant day trader like every freaking body and their grandma does on YouTube. And instead just tell people, hey, I think I'm kind of good, but other people might think I suck. And both are valid opinions. It's fine. But I'd rather not sell a course, give everything to everybody for free, provide value to my users, which I do. We give people value, you know. Cover economic data fast. If you want to know what's going on in the market, you know I'll be live streaming if it's something big, and you can tune in and see what's going on and track the market. A lot of people tune in because they're driving or whatever, and they want to kind of track the market. And so this is a good way to do it. Hit the subscribe button, guys. Hit the notification bell. I appreciate all the love. Thanks so much. And yeah, we're gonna keep trying. I think you're top 3 in the world right now. I think I'm top 2.5, bro. Come on now. You got to give me that. All right, Nvidia falling down a little bit now. I've been up since 3:30 in the morning, my time. I think you are a good man. I try. You know, I try. 2.3. I would give it 2.2 and a quarter. You know. Yeah, Top Step has some of the best rules once you're funded in the game too. You know. You're pretty good at trading ranges. Well, we try. What time will earnings be released? At 4 p.m. right after the opening bell, or closing bell at 4 p.m. is when Nvidia earnings drop. So it's like right after the closing bell today. Top 3 truth-telling men in the world right now, definitely top 3-ish. Oh man! All right. Yeah, there's no promo code. You just got to use my link, Rick. This is a great stream to follow stocks if you want relaxed and hedged observations. Hey, thank you, man. Buying crypto, not stocks. Can you give me some advice on when to short Nvidia? I mean, you know I'm not going to give you any advice on that. I have no idea what you... honestly, I have one big rule. Don't short the healthiest companies in the world, you know. Regardless of whether they're overpriced or not, I'm not shorting them. You know, some of them can be really healthy, some of the healthiest companies in the world, but still be overpriced, and that's okay. I'm not going to short them. Time will usually heal those wounds. The only companies I'm okay with shorting are usually like mid-cap stocks that are wildly overpriced. You know, so like Peloton, stuff like that. Beyond Meat. Like companies that are extremely overpriced versus what they offer. But even still, I don't usually short those either. And so giving you advice on shorting Nvidia, I personally have no idea. I would be careful not to fall into the gambler's trap. The gambler's trap is like every time, like you want to find opportunity, but you don't want to let a gambling, like a addiction drive you, right? So a lot of people I see in the stock market, like I've known people, you know, I've had people that used to come on my streams and, you know, again, trading is one of those things, and I say this a lot, but I think repetition is important for people to digest what I'm saying, is trading is one of those things where people want to believe they're experts immediately, right? Like they want to get started and within a couple weeks think they are just freaking Warren Buffett. And, you know, like I said, there's a very famous quote, and it's riches yell, wealth whispers, or something like that. And I think you could use the same thing with trading, right? Trading, the people who are the most loud are usually the worst sometimes. You know, the people who are the most braggadocious, kind of like just they need to know, or they need you to know how great they are at trading. Some would say top 3. Those are usually the worst traders, right? The Dunning-Kruger effect, you could bring that up too. But I think that causes a lot of people to think that you can get started and be some super duper expert within a couple weeks. And that's just not true, right? And I think people end up trading based off of that. Like people have some money and they think that they're just that trader. And so they take massive positions ahead of earnings and then they lose everything because earnings are freaking volatile. There's no real predicting what anything's going to do ahead of it. We can only, like, we can make bets and maybe you have a slight edge, but taking massive swings of your net worth based off of an extremely unpredictable earnings result is a horrible idea. It's a horrible idea. No, there's no edge, really. You know, you might be right, and if you're right, you better believe we're going to hear it. But if you're wrong, you know, you can lose a huge chunk of your net worth, and why take that risk? You might feel butterflies. Some people might be addicted to gambling, and they feel those butterflies, and they're addicted to that feeling, right? But the name of the game in stocks is discipline. You know, selectivity. You got to be selective. And what that usually means for me is not loading up on massive volatile positions ahead of earnings. Anything can happen in earnings. A company can have better than expected EPS, revenue, guidance, and drop 20%. And so I'm not going to get exposed in that way in stocks. It just doesn't make sense to. Instead, it's much better to just try to wait, react, find cheap objective value, buy those up, I don't even like shorting tops really, unless we're talking about day trading specifically. If we're day trading, it's different. Like, I'll day trade stuff. But even still, I'm just going to react to what happens instead of try to predict it. It's motivating to share stories of profit and losses. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's what got everybody involved in it. But I think you could be inspired by trading and investing and success without falling for those traps, right? Like nothing in life is easy that pays out as much as people pretend trading pays out. Nothing in life is that easy. And you can make great wealth in the stock market and trading, but you got to put the work in for it. And it's not going to happen in 2 weeks. It's just not. Yeah, all good, Kurt. Yeah, it might have been me bumping the mic. Sorry, bro. Dunning-Kruger? Is that like Hall & Oates? It's got to be Hall & Oates, right? It's a stock market band. Somebody should start a band called Dunning-Kruger. Yeah. So you would say not keep a long position in Nvidia when earnings come out? No, I mean, it depends. Like, I'm okay with holding positions in the earnings as long as they're long-term investments. If they're long-term investments, I'm going to hold. I can't sell all my long-term investments every quarter just because earnings are coming out. So it depends on the play. I would say if you're swing trading something and you're down big, I wouldn't hold that into earnings. The only swing trade I'd hold into earnings is like if I'm in, I said this yesterday, but if I'm up really big in some position in a swing trade and I've got the cushion of profit enough to justify holding through the earnings, I sometimes will, not always. A lot of the time I'll get out of it before earnings because I might go against me. But if it's a small swing trade and I'm already up big percentage-wise in it and I have the cushion to hold through earnings, sometimes I'll do that. But that's the only situation in which I'll do it, and everybody's different. Yeah, that's absolute nonsense, bro. If you find anybody that says it only takes you 10 minutes a day to make money, they are 100% full of crap. Right? Like it takes much longer than that. Like really, the people that do the best day trading and swing trading are people that watch the market every single day regularly and you get into like a flow state where you can understand what the market's doing at this particular moment in time and then capitalize on that. But you got to kind of get into a flow state of watching the market every day. It's certainly not passive. It's not like you're gonna look at the market for 5 minutes every day and just pop up your computer, take a trade, and leave and be rich doing that. That's marketing, and your job is to be resilient to that marketing because they want you to believe. If they told you the truth, which is like, hey, this is a crap ton of work. You're gonna have to do all this stuff. It's not passive at all. Most people wouldn't buy their course, right? And so if you want somebody to buy a course, what do you tell them? Oh, it's the easiest. You can trade for 5 minutes every day and be rich. Guys, buy my course now. But again, most people like that are wealthy from marketing. Even my channel, right? Like I make vastly more money marketing than I do trading. Way more money marketing. But it's not even really it's not really comparable. It's not fair to compare it either, because if you're looking for modest, reasonable gains, you're not going to make, it's just not reasonable. I mean, a $200 bet on a short-term options is fine, but I guess it all depends on scale. To some people, $200 is a lot. To other people, it's really not that much. And risking that on an options play, like for me, that's a small amount. No, I mean, I say this, and somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, this dude's bragging." I'm not. I'm just saying a $200 position is kind of like, like we could throw $200, like we could risk $200 and see what happens on this options play. And maybe if you roll it into big money and your accuracy is decent with it, you'll have something good from it. But somebody whose whole account is $5K probably doesn't want to take that $200 risk, so it's all relative to the person. I would say probably most people here, $200 is not like that much money. I'm not saying it's like a small amount of money, but like when I first got started trading, I remember I funded my account with $4K, lost all of it within a couple weeks. That was a lot of money to me at the time, like $4,000. I did not like losing it. But $200, it's subjective. We already got a poll on Nvidia sentiment. We said, hey, do you think the market closes with Nvidia earnings later on? Does the market close red or green? We've got 770 or 816 votes on it right now. 71% think the market goes green from Nvidia. 29% think red. Is Friday's PCE data volatile? Yes. So PCE inflation, the core PCE data is what you want to look at, right? Like that's going to be the really relevant one, core PCE specifically. And tomorrow's GDP data is volatile too. It doesn't mean we're going to get volatility. We just have the potential, like the implied volatility is high. Yeah, amen on that, John. I'm so sick of people advertising they have the magic strategy or setup. Yeah. Yeah, I would rather just market stuff to people and just tell them the truth than make money on the back end and give everything to everybody for free. I think that's a much better strategy where I could sleep better at night too. Instead of misleading everybody and doing all that stuff, I'd rather just be like, hey, I suck. Maybe I suck. If you want to check it out, they pay me money. I'm biased. If they buy it anyway, that's their choice. And, I'm honest about it. Instead of saying, look at me, I'm a super duper genius savant, which is almost most of it's nonsense. Like real effective day trading is usually very small wins that add up over time. Like base hits are a lot more impactful over a portfolio's growth long term than like home runs. And so kind of slow methodical gains, small gains relative to their account, you're not going to be able to earn 5% daily like some people on social media will tell you. It's just even like 1 or 2% is never going to happen consistently. If you can earn 0.1% a day, you're doing pretty good, right? And if we do the math behind it, so let's say there's 20 trading days in a month, right? And you got 240 trading days a year. Let's subtract holidays. So I'd say we take off about 10 of those. And so we'll have about 230 reasonable trading days, maybe more or less, depends, right? But then let's say we make 0.1% a day. This might be too much too, right? You're going to make 23% at the end of the year. I think that's a really good goal. 23% is elite, right? The S&P will give you 10% usually. 9%, 8%. And so if you can make 23%, you're elite of the elite, People talking like you're going to make 5% every single day is just not a reasonable expectation. So say you got a $5,000 account. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, wait. Say you got a $5,000 account and you make 5% every single day. Yeah. You're going to make over 100% a month every single month. The compounding effect of that is just crazy, right? Within 20 days, which is about a month of trading, you're going to turn that 5K into 13K. And then again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, it's just not feasible. That's 2 months. Three months, right? It's just not feasible. Expecting to turn 5K into 100K in a couple months, it's just not a reasonable expectation. It's just not. And if you do have that, I've said this a million times, but if you do have that, Goldman Sachs will pay you a freaking $1 billion. They'll pay you $100 million to come work for them if you've got a system like that. And so, but again, it's a unicorn. Yeah, if you beat the market, the real standard of whether you're good or bad as a trader is whether you beat the market. If you could do better than the S&P, and last year the market was hard to beat. I didn't beat the market last year. Last year the S&P did 24%. 24%. So sometimes the market's hard to beat, and but that's the standard. Yeah. But this YouTuber who sold me a course said that you could, Ask him why he's on YouTube and not working at Goldman Sachs. So I recently transferred my shares of Nvidia over to Toss from Robinhood. So I'm assuming you mean Schwab, Daphne. So Toss is no longer TD Ameritrade, it's now Schwab. I want to play earnings tonight after market closes, but I don't see where to add more shares or partial shares after hours. So it should look like this, right? You go to Active Trader on whatever symbol you're looking at. You'll have to click this sprocket here, Daphne. Right, and you'll have to click this sprocket, and you should be able to just drag it over. Remember, in extended hours, you have to use limit orders, right? So buy the ask, buy the bid, sell the ask, sell the bid, and then you can remove. I remove flatten, cancel, reverse, or anything. But if you want to keep those as different, but you also want to add this TIF, which is time in force, right? And if you want to buy in pre-market or extended hours, you have to select. Wait, where'd it go? You have to select this time in force, and you have to go to EXT and then use a limit order to buy or sell it, right? Like that's how you do it. So well, yeah, like I said, the flow state thing is true. So Nick said, I view strategies that work for a period of time, generally for about a month or so, but then it becomes unprofitable. Right, because the market changes. And this is why, like, you see penny stock gurus and you see all these gurus selling, like, using credibility of, hey, I made X amount of money in 2005. And it's like, dude, the market is vastly different from 2005. And then they'll say things like, I don't trade anymore. I just like to teach. It's like, wait, so you don't even trade anymore and you're teaching people how to trade modern markets that you haven't really, like, it's just total nonsense. And again, certain people are susceptible to it. They want to believe it. It's really hard to shatter people's dreams if they think that they're going to be super wealthy off of a $5,000 investment within a couple months, right? Like that's, sometimes those people are so stubborn and then like stuck on that belief that, it's hard to break it. Somebody gets stuck on a pyramid scheme. I've tried to talk friends out of it. It doesn't work. They get mad at you for it. So, and I'll say this all the time because it's so, the correlation is obvious and it's so comparable to that, that it's the easiest way to make people really understand. And hopefully me talking like this at least helps some people, right? Hopefully me saying this helps some people that might be wrapped up in that realize what's going on. 48 hours are day traders? Really? Really? Hey, what's up, Relentless? How you doing, brother? I'm up 10K% in 3 months. I mean, I'm not saying it's a fugazi guy. Forget about it, Super Micro did dip a lot the last few days. I'm not trying to start drama. I'm being honest about how I feel. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are people that are doing it. I'm skeptical. Super Micro Semiconductors at 537s. I hope it did happen. Yeah. Should I load up on Nvidia calls like everyone and their moms before earnings? I have no idea. Should you? I don't know. 60% of the time it works 100% of the time, every time. As long as it's in the top 3 of percentages in the world. Yeah, super micro down. Honestly, Nvidia earnings, I get really excited. Like, I get butterflies in my stomach for Nvidia earnings. So a shipbuilder in the U.S. Navy has agreed to admit wrongdoing. And pay $24 million settle an accusation or an accounting fraud investigation. Yeah, you know, I think we're in a really interesting situation with regards to like AI. You know, I think AI is seeing crazy growth over the last 3 years, and you see it in Nvidia. You know, if you look at Nvidia's long-term chart, you see it in Nvidia's price for sure. And a lot of people scream extension. They scream over extension for Nvidia, but I talk about this every earnings call, right? When you look at the revenue graph for Nvidia, the correlation is pretty similar to share price, right? So how much Nvidia is up is very similar in terms of percentage towards what Nvidia's revenue increase has seen over the past few years in that same period, right? And so Nvidia's revenue has increased in the same exponential way as their share price, you know, over the last 2.5 years, 3 years. Their margins, specifically, if we look at, you know, if we look at their EPS graph, which is margin related, you know, they've seen exponential growth too. Maybe not exponential, but they've seen crazy big growth too. And so the question is whether Nvidia is extended. And I think you can look at a lot of different things. You can look at PE ratio. I think the PE ratio is still higher for sure. It's 70, I think, which is high. But, you know, PE is not the end all be all of value. Like, I think a lot of the time when people invest in companies, they're betting on future value, right? Like how much revenue, EPS is going to increase future-wise. And that's why I think guidance this specific quarter is really, really important. Because we've seen the crazy growth periods. We've seen the increases over it. And I think AI, if you stop and look at it objectively in terms of programming, in terms of production, in terms of querying things, I think when you look at AI, it's that next big technology. But, you know, in 2000, we saw a major market crash from the dot-com bust, right? And internet was the next big technology then as well. And we still saw one of the longest bear markets in history from it. And so everybody's going to be watching Nvidia today. Everybody's going to be watching. You know, the last Nvidia earnings stream, we had over 10,000 concurrent people watching it. And so, yeah, we'll see. But just be careful today. You know, today, again, my stance, and again, I'm just purely guessing, speculating. My stance is that I think leading up to the earnings report, we're going to get choppy, neutral, sideways behavior. At least that's what makes the most sense to me. You know, does it make sense for people to make big bets, you know, and big runs on Nvidia or big dumps and big drops on Nvidia leading into their earnings report? No, not really. Not unless big money knows something, you know, and that's something I'll watch for as well. What makes the most sense is for it to have maybe a big range even, but traders are going to be patient. They're going to be sideways. They're going to be waiting, you know, and so maybe I'll attack chop if we get it, but it's the Super Bowl for stocks for sure. But the CEO can always just make up guidance, right? Not really. Like, he's going to have to do his best to try to be honest about it. He can't just make... If that was the case, every CEO in the world would put out some crazy big unrealistic guidance numbers. You know, it also caused a credibility problem in the company as well. If a company started throwing out ridiculous numbers for guidance, shareholders would figure it out pretty quickly and then stop supporting the company, and it might get the opposite effect. It might discourage them from buying, which is counterproductive to the goal. So, yeah, I mean, he's not going to be able to just throw some crazy, unrealistic number. As is most things financed, the truth is balanced, right? Market is very balanced. An efficient market is a balanced, like well-priced market. Fed and Jerome Powell like to be balanced. The economic data comes in balanced a lot of the time if they can. And so, Balance is a true theme of the market, and it's really how I make a lot of predictions too, is balance. I read some DD saying NASA would make an announcement about a contract in August for LUNR. Yeah, I'm not really a big small cap penny stock guy here. It's just not what I like. Yeah, I'm checking on some other stuff here too. I wouldn't trust NASA. Yeah, check it out right there. Yeah, I'm gonna be trading on Top Step X today too. It's the money sign. If you want to make a donation, scalp guy. IV always high for earnings. Yeah, I mean the implied volatility is going to be higher because stocks are more volatile during earnings. They have big upward movements and downward movements versus just normal price action outside of earnings. Yeah, people get so tricked, man. I'm seeing on one of my other scheduled streams, this guy Danny saying if you're retail, you should only be in low float stocks. What a horrible, horrible mentality, right? Like, and again, this is how new traders end up getting misled and losing tons of money, right? It's because you got people that really just don't understand. Like, most of the time what happens is people that say this, again, no offense to him, right? Dunning-Kruger, I think, is real. Unless he means it in another way, which maybe he does. But, like, if not, sounds like Dunning-Kruger, you know, which is Freddy Krueger's uncle, just to clarify. But no. People want to be experts so quickly, right? Telling people they should only buy low float stocks is like telling people if they go to the casino, they should only play slot machines. You know, the worst odds, right? The worst odds are in slots. They're sucker bets. Anybody that understands odds knows slot machines the worst bet at the casino. They're designed to slowly milk money from you. You know, poker has some of the highest, blackjack has some of the highest, even though the odds are still against you regardless, right? But low float penny stocks, the worst niche of investments ever. You know, you buy 10 random penny stocks, you're going to lose money a large majority of the time in that portfolio. You buy 10 blue chip stocks, you're going to make money a large percentage of the time in that portfolio. And so be smart. Just because they're cheap doesn't, and that's all you might be able to afford, doesn't mean you should buy it. And most stocks are never penny stocks that are actually successful companies. Yeah, definitely top 3 worst ever in the world. Pump and dumps. Forgive me, but I don't see the $ tip jar. Go to the live chat. Go to the chat. You see the emoji sign? Look to the right of that. There's a rectangle with a $ in it. Click that. Yeah. Yeah, actually, I mean, I don't play that much. I love poker. Poker was like my first love. I used to play poker well before I started investing and trading. Very similar to. Again, poker, just like stocks, is about discipline. You know, you're only supposed to play about 20% of your hands. People that lose money generally play all their hands, can't wait, have to be in every single pot, you know, and they lose money. You know, they keep doubling down on bets, even though they should fold sometimes, and they just they lose money. Same thing in trading. Traders, they want to trade every single setup that presents itself. They don't wait for A+ setups. They instead continue to add to losing positions. You know, in poker, profitable poker players typically calculate pot odds, which is like if I only got to call $10 more to potentially make 200, you know, I got 20 to 1 pot odds. Right? Like that makes sense for me, even if I've got a bad hand, right? Like that makes sense to me sometimes. Same thing in trading where, you know, if I have a lot of risk or I have a big reward level for a very small amount of risk in a highly probable thing, or even if it's not super probable, it's still probably the right move to get involved there. And so there's a lot of correlations with it. Poker's great too. A lot of people don't understand it either. They think it's just random. I paper trade stocks using Excel. It's all my brain can handle. Really? Then, no offense to you, Lost. You probably should just invest then, brother. If trading on a platform is too complicated, it's probably best to just trade or to just invest in stocks. Keep it simple, bro. Because I think right now in modern trading, you gotta use a platform. Personally. Yeah, I mean you don't have to donate though. It's all good, bro. It doesn't matter too much to me. I mean, that's not a bad situation. Usually it goes something like you bet a little bit, the whole table calls, right? Like you weren't expecting them to call. And so now you got to, but nobody raises, right? They only call. It goes all the way back around to you. And then you got to put in another $10 to potentially win, you know, whatever it is and hope you get lucky on the flop. Those are usually those are fun hands. But like that's the situation of like even if you got 6-9 offsuit, even if you got 2-3 offsuit, you know, it's still probably okay to call there, depending on, you know, how much your bankroll is, what kind of money you have, or whatever. Yeah, so the call's at 5 p.m. The report's at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Technically, the actual earnings report for Nvidia is scheduled to release at 4:20 Eastern Standard Time. Yes, we're gonna do a call. Yeah, I mean, look, it's right here, bro. Like, look. So you gotta have your stream up. You gotta have your stream up. You see where it says chat publicly as blank, right? Emoji sign, $sign, addition sign. You click that one if you want to donate, bro. But again, you don't have to. Again, if you feel it in your heart to do it, sure. But again, no pressure either way. You're welcome here regardless. As long as you're not toxic. Will the call be more significant than a report? Probably not. Report's probably going to have more influence, but sometimes the call, if they announce something big they didn't mention in the report, maybe. Well, the call is the report, sure. But the call also is significant because they do an investor Q&A or an analyst Q&A sometimes, right? So they'll do viewer Q&As, they'll do analyst Q&A sometimes. So the Q&A is important, kind of like FOMC meetings where you kind of know what's going to be said ahead of time, but the Q&A might influence the market in a much bigger way, right? I have no idea, Blob. Moomoo was a sponsor of mine for a while, Daphne, and from what I gathered by them, solid company, solid platform, pretty cool platform. You know, so. Do you think Chewy was correct about the numbers? I have no idea. You know, I don't buy from Chewy. No offense. I usually just buy my stuff from the actual pet store. Honestly, though, my wife and I was talking about this the other day, bro. Like, we run into the biggest Karens at the pet store in the world, right? Like, Karens they flock to the pet store. I don't know what it is, dude. I ran into one day too. I had my dog Rosie when Rosie was just a little puppy, and we brought her to the pet store. And this lady is there for training at the pet store, right? And she's got this massive Rottweiler, like this huge freaking Rottweiler. And, you know, I've got little baby German Shepherd with me. And, you know, as we walk by this huge Rottweiler, this Rottweiler charges us, right? And so if you run from a dog, sometimes their prey instincts will kick in and they'll chase you, you know? And so I walked by it very calmly, like very patiently. And Rosie was freaked out too. So we kind of had to walk by like calmly. I couldn't just freak out and run, right? Well, afterwards, the lady with the Rottweiler gets Karen-y with me. Starts to criticize me for not running out the way fast enough, and like kind of gets onto me about it. And like then I have to kind of turn around and get kind of frustrated with her and be like, look, lady, you might not have control of your dog, but that's your responsibility, right? Like, you shouldn't get a dog like this if you can't control it, you know, and then get mad at other people because they won't freaking jump through hoops because you couldn't train your dog correctly, you know. And I had to kind of like, you know, lecture her a little bit about it, and she couldn't say anything back. And I think stresses were high, but frustrating thing. Like, how are you gonna blame me for that, lady? Like, look, like, get control of your big old Rottweiler, and don't get mad at other people because your dog's toxic. You know? And I don't know what it is about pet stores. You know, I get it. People love pets. I love pets too, but you know, I don't know. Right, I should have guillotined that dog. You know, got it in an RNC. I would never hurt a dog like that, though. It's not the Rottweiler's fault. She didn't know how to train it. But anyways, the other day we were at the pet store, and Carol, there was this old lady in front of us, and she's got like a Doberman, and the Doberman's at the store, and we don't even have a dog with us. We were just picking up dog food. And so this old lady takes forever to the point where the guy, like the cashier, is even upset. The cashier's like, all right, lady, like, come on. And so the lady starts to walk out, and we've got like a big old cart of stuff because we love our dogs. We like spoil them and get them all these treats and stuff. Well, we've got this big old cart of stuff. And so the lady takes forever to where the cashier's looking at us like, you know, I don't know what this lady's doing. And we're telling him it's fine, it's okay. And maybe that bothered the lady. But the lady starts to walk away, right? And Carol's pushing the cart. And so the lady acts like she's completely walking away and then stops like half a foot in front of her. And then Carol is starting to move up. And then the lady puts her foot on our cart and says, please don't hit my foot. And we're sitting there like, lady, we weren't even close to your foot. You literally acted like you were walking away and then stopped and turned around to like pet your dog before you left, right? Like kind of like an abrupt stop. It's kind of like if somebody slams on their brakes in front of you. Like, we weren't going to hit her, but, you know, and gets like kind of an attitude with us about it. I don't know. Just Karens are at the grocery store and Karens are at the dog place. I don't know why. Yeah, the Rottweiler might have beat me up realistically. It was big, dude. It was a big Rottweiler. Little did I know the Rott is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Listen, he might have been, dude. Might have been a Gracie trained Rottweiler. You know, you never know. Maybe that's why it's giving her problems. Anyways. Where's Nvidia? Is Nvidia still green? Yeah, so Nvidia's been in the same spot. You can see how small the range is. Typically, Nvidia moves a lot, right? Like generally, Nvidia has like a big range of movement. But look at how sideways barcoding. Nvidia's literally barcoding. I think we're gonna get choppiness today. I might be wrong. It makes the most sense to me, you know. And remember, we were buying up the Nasdaq down here too. And since then, we've came all the way back here. So if I would have stayed in that long position, I would have made much more. I should have barked at her. Yeah, that would have showed her, you know. All the years in martial arts training, and we couldn't even beat a dog. I know, man. I failed, you guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, look at Nvidia flush all the way. I'm speaking about how choppy Nvidia was, and then look at it dump all the way down here. So it's got time. That sounds like a nickname, you know. John the Rottweiler fighter, you know. Sounds like a certification Rottweiler submission expert, you know. But yeah, Supermicro is falling down with us. Again, Supermicro had a Hindenburg short report that came out for it yesterday. So basically what they said, I can't remember exactly what they said on Hindenburg, but they said something along the lines of some type of fraud, financial fraud was going on, and they said something else, misrepresentation and financial fraud, I'm pretty sure is what the Hindenburg short report said. I never actually looked deeper into it, but Supermicro semiconductors dropped big because of it. If we look at yesterday's, man, look, they're down even more. Wow. They didn't have earnings today, did they? Let me see. No. Yeah, if Khabib could wrestle a bear, I could wrestle a Rottweiler. Yeah, for sure. You know, I should have done it, you know, personally, but gently, because I don't hurt animals. Yeah, I'm looking at Supermicro. All right, so this is what's causing the downfall in Supermicro, and it's also what's dropping Nvidia earnings, or Nvidia stock ahead of earnings too. So listen, so Supermicro shares are trading lower. The company announced it will delay its Form 10-K filing, and so it expects delays in filing its annual report for the fiscal year ending in June 30th, citing need for additional time to assess internal controls. Plans to submit a late filing notification on August 30th of this year. So yeah, they're going to delay Form 10-K filing for fiscal year of 2024. That's a bad sign. It's not really an optimistic look at the company. For the company, it's not really a good sign for the company, and so that's causing a lot of that's causing these big drops. So again, they're delaying their 10-K filing. Usually, it's not a good sign. Yeah, so Powell said in his last meeting the time has come to cut rates. Yeah, so, but this is causing the drop in Supermicro, and they're down to 495s now too. A pretty big decrease. Nvidia's still red now on the day too. Carry trade. Where's the yen at right now? Let me see. Yeah, so the yen is falling, which actually should do the opposite of the yen carry trade. It should mean cheaper access to leverage and more buys potentially. But Nvidia bounced back all the way. Super micro is at 496. Bro, you're the only person not crazy. Regarding what? It would be cool to have influencers trade competition for Lambo. Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool if Jeff Bezos gave me $1 billion too. I don't know if he's going to do that though. I think he's one of the top 3 least likely people to give me a Lamborghini in the world right now. Yeah, so Nvidia is actually still technically kind of green here. Yeah, I want to give it time to bounce back. We got like 15 minutes until the market opens. I see you, Mike. Yeah, definitely top 3, top 2-ish trader in the world. Question is, will people exit Supermicro and head to Nvidia? I think that's possible. You know, I do think that's possible. Supermicro is down a lot short term too, so it depends on how we bounce and what that looks like. You're the only YouTuber not spreading garbage. Your perspective is intelligent and skeptical. Yeah, I mean, I'm a skeptic in everything I do. But I just try to be balanced. I don't think, like, I think it's easy for people to freak everybody out and tell them it's the end of the world scenario, and I've seen it a lot. And generally, it's not the end of the world scenario that people are telling everybody it is, and I think telling people that gets clicks and views. But all right, Supermicro falling down, Nvidia falling down too. Yeah, I know people do day trading competitions, and they can be cool. Like, day trading competitions can work. It just, there's a lot of variance in day trading, right? Like, day trading is kind of like poker in that regard, where you might do everything right, still lose, you know? And so sometimes the people who win those day trading competitions are not necessarily the best traders. Because again, like, you might have the best setup in the world in stocks and still lose. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I still think the competitions are fun and understandable. Got to do it over time. Right. I think a longer term competition makes sense. Because long term, just like poker, right? If you're a good poker player, over time variance dwindles. And same thing in trading. If you're a good trader, over time variance is less impactful. The Rottweiler Whisperer. Yeah. What's the guy's name? The dog whisperer. Caesar the dog whisperer. John the Roddy. I don't even know. All right, so we're already dumping down here on this super micro semiconductor thing. I would have never thought to trade Supermicro if it wasn't for your YouTube video yesterday. I took a chance and shorted it at 550. Just killed it this morning. Thank you. Very nice, man. Congrats, Philip. I don't really want to influence people to take trades like that, but I do understand people are going to hear my opinion and then maybe agree with it and then take trades based off of it like that. Yeah, so congrats, man. Good work. You know, still not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Don't make your own. Don't copy me. Not an investment professional. Not liable. I might have no idea what I'm talking about, and I could be wildly wrong about everything I say. We got 12 minutes left, guys. 12 minutes. So I got up at 3:30 a.m. this morning. You know, here's the problem. Is that I get up in the morning. If I do anything that requires any type of, like, thinking, I'm up, and I can't go back to sleep. You know, so I got up at 3:30 this morning. Usually I wake up at, like, 5. And so I looked at my phone just to see what time it was, you know, and that was a mistake. I think that's the biggest mistake I make with insomnia is like I'll wake up randomly and I just want to see what time it is. So I look at my phone and then boom, like the brightness of the screen is just, sucks. Hey, nice, Dominic. Hey, good work, dude. Yeah. Now I don't know what to do, man. I gotta be up for Nvidia earnings anyway. And so I'm gonna have to, I don't know. But I also want to go to jiu-jitsu. They say for every hour of sleep you get less than 7, your IQ drops by like 10 points. So I think like after me getting a couple hours less than 7, I think I probably got like 1,000 and 1,500 IQ, you know, or something like that. Honestly, a lot of the time I feel better if I get 6.5, but I think I stayed up too long, man. Dang, I found out the company that does my lawn pays his employees $20 an hour. $20 an hour is really not that much, dude. So 20 times 8 is $160 a day. That's really not that much. You know, times 5 days a week times 3.2 weeks in a month is $2,500 a month times 12. That's 30 grand a year, bro. Yeah, and $20 an hour is really not that much money. And that's assuming he works a full 5-hour work week. So, is that right? I mean, is that right? Let me make sure. 5 times 8 hours a day times 20 equals 160 times 7. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. My math was off. Definitely math was off. So 20 times 8 is a normal day, which is $160 a day times 7. Times 4.3 times 12. So that's $57,000 a year. It's still not that much, right? I would say this is pretty average income. Now, maybe for mowing lawns it's different, but mowing lawns is hard work, you know. I like doing it. I like mowing my yard, but I'm sure if I did it for a living, I'd hate it. Right. Every morning I gotta pee at like 3:30 in the morning, you know. And the problem is my wife likes the whole house dark, and so like I get up and I can't see a freaking thing. And so then if I go in the bathroom usually has its light on, and if the light hits my eyes, I'm up. You know, it's tough. Yeah, I'm doing something wrong with my... It depends on how you look at it, right? So a lot of people are going to make this calculation where they do 7 times, or they do $20 an hour times 8 hours a day is $160 a day times 5, right? That's $800. Oh, I did 7, so that would be, yeah, so that's $800 a week, right? Times 4.3 weeks in a month times 12. Yeah, about 42 grand, 41,000 minus tax. Really not that much. Like I remember growing up, I don't know what I think the last time I did times 7, which would be if you work 7 days a week. That's how I got the higher number. But I remember thinking like $100 a day was like a lot. I used to drive cars for my job. I'm not going to be specific about companies or anything, but I used to drive cars. For a car dealership, and he used to pay me $100 a day, and I used to think it was freaking so much money, you know. Now it's $2 grand a month, you know, maybe a little bit more than that. I once got a job opportunity for $100 an hour. I didn't take it because I want to do something on my own. Now I'm regretting it. Oh, it depends, right? Like, okay. So most businesses that people start fail, right? There's a saying that goes only 1 out of 6 business startups are going to succeed, right? And that it basically says a person fails at 6 businesses before they succeed. And I'm here to tell you that's pretty accurate. Right, like you're not going to be successful. Businesses that you start, you got about a 20% chance of actually doing it successfully. And this can be seen as a negative thing, like a discouraging thing, or it could be seen as a good thing, right? Like the easiest way to put it is that if you keep pushing, one's going to stick eventually, and that might pay you for the rest of your life, you know? And so don't get too discouraged. Businesses are going to fail. It's inevitable. But eventually, if you keep pushing, one's going to stick. And again, from my experience, it's very true. Very true. And so I guess the point is, if you're trying to start a business yourself, leaving your job to do it is fine. You just got to understand you might have to crawl back there with your tail between your legs, which is normal, you know. All right, so Nvidia pop it all the way back up here, right back up. Yeah, Nvidia right back up there. Yeah, so Nvidia started to bounce back some here. Again, we're going to trade on an actual funded today, as well as our attempts at funding, getting funded on Top Step X platform. Best to utilize your job as leverage to fund, support your small business. Yeah, that's great. If you have the time to do that, I think that's a good option. All right, guys, we got 2 minutes. Yeah, and the best thing to understand about all of it is that, like, the truly best thing to understand about all of it is you start businesses in what you know and understand. Right? Like, you try to start businesses that you don't understand, those odds go way down. And if you start businesses around stuff that you do know and understand, the odds of success go way up. And you're also going to have the passion you need to keep building, you know? So I hope that makes sense. So basically build stuff that you know. Like, figure out what you're really genuinely passionate about and monetize that. And that'll give you the best odds. John, you teach so much good stuff. Don't forget the most important. I teach exercise 3 times daily. Yeah, I mean, exercise is important. You feel better. It releases dopamine. Lately, I've been doing jujitsu, and I go to the gym pretty regularly too. But do something, you know. You feel good. Hey, baby, the opening bell is like right now. Okay. Inside the actual house or inside the back? Okay, where are you at? Okay, Carol. Okay, well, they're gonna have to wait. I don't know. All right, look, I love you. I'll get it done. Just give me a second. Here, let me go. All right, love you, bye. Sheesh, man. All right, here's the opening bell. Every day, like freaking clockwork. Ouch, man, that's so loud. All right, guys. Spy up. Nvidia trying to bounce back. So I'm probably not going to trade right now anyway. I'm going to let the opening bell fizzle out a little bit. But so far, Nvidia's dropping down some. So Nvidia's down. Nvidia earnings can help Supermicro. Reason why they're bad. Yeah, for sure. Chewy up to 2640s. Supermicro broke lows again here, though, guys. Look at this big drop. Tesla will follow the market, but it depends. But here, listen, I'll be right back, guys. I got to let some guys in my backyard. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. And markets haven't really moved from since I left. The SPY is actually up a little bit, though. Nvidia's down. I don't know what the market's going to do. Like, we're on Supermicro semiconductors, or not Supermicro. So we're shorting. I'm going to add to this. We got 2 contracts here. We took half off there, locked it in. And there we go. We got out. So we made about $200 in this one. Chewy spiked up a lot at the opening bell. Man, wow. Yeah. Hey, we need 10 subscribers to break 145K. 10. All right, very choppy session for Nvidia so far at the opening bell. Very, very boring, very slow. Now, Nvidia is about to hit that previous closing price here. And again, this is Top Step X. I'm going to short this. There we go. Let's take 2 contracts here since we have a little bit of a cushion, but I got to be careful with it. There we go. All right, so we're out. We just made another $100. So we're up about 300 on this one since the opening bell. Still great trading it on Top Step X. You know, with Nvidia earnings, we might hit that today. I don't think we're going to, but we might. I'm going to put it out there. We're going to hit 150,000 subs today after Nvidia earnings. I'm just going to put it out into the ether, into the world. Again, we need 8 subscribers to bring 145,000. Do it now. Try it one time. It might feel good. Everybody's doing it. Listen, everything we put out there is free. I don't sell a course. Don't sell a service. Don't even claim to be good. Don't charge for anything. We do have sponsors. I'm biased because they pay me money, but I'm honest about that. And if I was going to watch somebody, I'd rather them be honest about it. So if you haven't already subscribed, hit the notification bell, guys. We appreciate the love. Look at Supermicro dumping down here. And honestly, guys, I told people, I told somebody this a week ago. Does anybody remember the conversation I had with somebody about Supermicro specifically a week ago? They said, hey, why don't you like Supermicro? And I told them because it's freaking risky. It's volatile. It has a low float. It's up a ridiculous percentage. And it's too new. It's a new company, And again, it looks like those risks are now playing out live. I'm not really shorting it, so it's not like I'm super happy to be right in this situation because I know some people are losing money with it. But again, as Kid Cudi famously said, everything that shines is not always gold, guys. Just be careful. Supermicro down a lot. Nvidia's not really following it either. Hey, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, man. Do you mean 100K? You think I just made 100K in 20 seconds, bro? Genuinely, do you really think that? Like, bro, I'll tell you this. If I'm making 100K swings, I'm not live streaming. I'm going to be freaking out. If I had enough money to where I could just throw around 100K like that, I wouldn't be here on YouTube. Telling you guys I'm the top 3 greatest of all time. Think about it. And if you're used to people throwing around 100K, they're probably a fugazi. They're unicorn dust. It doesn't exist. They're just telling you that. Yeah, I mean, if I'm risking 100K, it ain't gonna be at 7 minutes after the opening bell. Supermicro dumping down though still, guys. Wow, look at this drop. It's at 440s. Somebody knocking on my door. Hey, hush. Stop barking. Hush. All right. Yeah, Supermicro. Is it time to buy the dip? I don't know. Chewy up to $28 a share though, so Chewy's running. SPY is looking like a Z pattern here. Nobody was knocking. Hush. Bruce, hush, buddy. Be quiet. Very choppy behavior today, guys. Very choppy. What? What the heck? Alright, sorry. Yeah, so they delayed. You can see the news catalyst at the bottom here. Again, what have we gotten, guys? What did I say? We have gotten choppy, sideways, neutral activity. I think today's the biggest argument for this type of trading. And again, on this little account, we've made about 350 since the opening bell. But it's kind of been going back and forth. You know, I'm going to short this right here on this account. Depends on if Nvidia rejects. One of the things I see a lot with short-term price actions is I see like a big candle wick happen. So we're out. Is we see a big candle wick play out, and then the stock fills the entire gap of that candle wick. You know, I see it happening like a lot. So we actually just made most of this back here. We're in one more trade. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. So we're up 308 now. We were up like 375 or something like that. So we're not as up as we once were. But we start to flush down. I will buy this up down here, I think. It's risky though. It depends on what Supermicro keeps doing. $75. We'll go and take that off. Slowly kind of build this up. Yeah, ignore this guy, trader, trader. Ignore him. Do not copy them. Anybody that has to do that is usually kind of sketchy. Meaning, like, anybody that goes from stream to stream trying to promote their own stuff is usually not the person you want to follow. Yeah, very volatile day, guys. Just be careful. Or not a volatile day. It could be a very volatile day with Nvidia earnings, so just be careful. A lot of stuff could happen. Yeah, today's the 28th. So this is when Nvidia earnings drop, is today. They drop at 4 p.m. So again, right now, Nvidia has basically been in a complete choppy sideways like range. We also see this with like the S&P 500 right now, the SPY. You could draw a little rectangle around this today. And this is what it looks like. It's just kind of up, down, up, down. Who knows where it'll go here. We're kind of middle range. Supermicro is giving it some bearish sentiment for sure. You can see Supermicro down pretty big on the day right there. And so again, we're trading pretty tight. We'll wait until we hit a bottom range maybe and buy up some stuff. But GDP is pretty big relevant thing. Market just dumped under lows. So if we stabilize here. Big dips. Eastern Standard Time. It's 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, guys, I'm probably going to go ahead and close the stream. I'm going to wait until Nvidia earnings drop. We've only gotten mostly choppy action, except for maybe Nvidia's slight candle wicks. The SPY is completely flat, and so not the best day to trade futures. I'm not having much good success here. And I haven't really even traded my actual funded account yet today, which, I'll probably wait. I might buy this up here. I'll get into one little quick trade here. And then I'll add a little bit more there. We got 2 contracts here. We're at the bottom of the range. The idea is to play the range. Can y'all see that? No, y'all can't. Let me. Back to flat. And again, if you want to check out Top Step is a funded account program. In futures, they give you a demo. They test your skill with it. If you pass it, they fund you. If you fail it, you only lose what you pay for it, which in this case is $49 for the base one. If you pass it, you get $50K in funding, 90% split. If you fail it, you're not really out that much. It's a great way to limit risk, hedge against big losses at the beginning of your day trading journey. And if you're a good enough trader, you can get started for $49. And if you lose, it's not the end of the world. Just remember, guys, unless you're attacking kind of sideways, rangy strategies like I do, yeah, I'm gonna have to cut this. So we lost $100 there. I'm gonna get out. Again, it's just not the day, I think. No, I'm talking about futures contracts, guys. But again, if you want to check out Top Step, I'll put the link up. I'm gonna wait, and we will be back later on today, guys. So remember, later on today, Nvidia earnings drop. The single biggest earnings report of the quarter, of the year, probably, as well as. Hey, we also broke 145K subs. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate the love. Again, we'll be back later on today for Nvidia earnings. Be ready. If you want to join the wait list for that stream, the wait list for that stream is right here. So again, if you want to join the wait list for that stream, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I appreciate the love. Thanks so much. Again, if you want to join the wait list stream, here it is. Join. Be ready. We'll be back in a few hours. Y'all be safe. Appreciate the love, guys. Thanks. I'll see you guys later.